Hi there, this is Art and Such with the Rainbow Loom tutorial for Max from the Max and Ruby children's book series. I am going to be making the arms just a little bit longer, but otherwise we'll make what you see here. So for this pattern you're going to need your loom in the offset configuration, a very small number of, I think only 2 pink bands for the ears, a couple of black bands, blue for the outfit, the jumper, white, I've used some orange and red as well for his shirt. For the eyes I'm using a couple of beads. I used some large pearl beads here. I'm going to use just a couple of small pony beads for this round, and you can use a Sharpie marker to draw on pupils after or to begin. I've also got a couple just black threads for the whiskers, and you can use black bands if that's easier for you. You're also going to want a pair of scissors for the whiskers, a hook, and a holding hook if that's of help for you. I've also put on a couple of little beads for the buttons. So if there are gold or yellow beads that you have on hand that you'd like to use, you can. And I like threading them on with dental floss. Okay, I think that's everything for materials. So now we can start on the loom at the bottom to make our ears. We are going to grab some a black band, single black band, stretch it, twist it, double it over, count up 4 pegs from the bottom, and come down once in the middle. Repeat with a pink band, single, stretch, twist, bring it back over itself, and that will come from the 3rd peg from the bottom to the 2nd peg from the bottom, and then finish this row with a white band doubled over and stretch to the bottom. If you want your ears to be longer, you could bring this all up and add 1 more white, or you could add an extra pink in the middle and extend it that way, but up to you. We're going to come down on either side with doubled over whites, and we're going to be coming down with 3 singles. So here's the first one. I'm starting it to the side just above the black. So this is the 5th peg up on the right, and it goes down to the 4th peg up from the bottom. I'll repeat that twice below. And then we want to mirror it on the other side. One doubled over, 2 doubled over, and 3 doubled over white bands. So each one of these is a single band. It's been doubled over and stretched down. I'll take my next white, double it over, and come down from the 2nd peg from the bottom of the loom on the side to the bottommost peg in the center. So it'll form a little diagonal line. We want 1 more going down the other way, like so. Take a single white to cap off the bottom, place it on, twist over 1, twist over 2, twist over 3. You can make it tighter if you choose to. And doubled over single triangle holding bands, coming across your 2nd pegs from the bottom, your 3rd pegs from the bottom, and I feel like I've got an extra one in here. Hold on, what did I do there? Oh, I see. Hold on. We're actually going to flip that around so it's coming downwards. I'll show you 1 second. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so all of your triangle holding bands are going to be pointing down, and you'll have a total of 2. Your cap at the end, and then we are ready to loop this up. That will make one of our ears. So go to the bottom, get under your holding band, grab the next 2 loops, which in my case they're coming from my left side. I'm going to bring them out, over, and replace them on that leftmost peg. My next 2 are coming from the right side, so press back under that cap, grab the next 2. I'm just going to wiggle these loose a little so I can be sure that I'm getting the right ones. And back over to where they came from. There should be 2 more in the middle, and they are coming down vertically, so I'm pushing back my cap, scooping up those 2 loops, and bringing them up. And then you can loop upwards on each of those 3 rows. But as you do, push back the triangle band. You don't want to release that from the loom. So I've lifted up the pink, I've lifted up the black, and then going back to each of the sides, push back the triangle bands and reach for your bottom 2 loops, and one more time. Repeat on the far side. And 2 and 3. You want to take your hook and point it down through the bands on your 5th peg from the bottom on the side. Take those out, and then put it through the black bands, which are on the 4th peg from the bottom in the middle, and back down through those top white, and carefully release from your hook. And there is 1 ear at the ready. We'll make the other one a little bit faster this time. So black band, double it over, fourth up to 3rd up. Pink, double it over, white, oops. There's your middle row on either side, starting at the peg diagonally up from that black one. So that's your 5th peg up, 3 times with doubled over singles, all white. Repeat on the other side. And we'll come into center again. I'll turn this around for you just a second there. Cap band on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. If your band is stretched or you want it extra pointy or extra tight, you can always do an extra loop or 2. And then we needed 2 of those holding bands, and our triangles are going to be pointed downwards, like so. Right above, 1 more. Okay, now I'm keeping my 1st ear on my hook, and actually, now I'm thinking about it, we can place this on the loom right away. So I'm going to take 2 bands, put it through, or slide it through all of the pieces that are on my hook very carefully. And this will go at the top of the loom from the top center to the top side. Okay, coming back to the bottom, we can loop up our 2nd one. So under the cap band, find the 2 that are closest to the top. It isn't 2 bands, but it's 2 loops of 1 band. go back and replace, go back to the next one, bring those over to the opposite side. And you're looking again to get those even lines that show, so you can tell it's going back to where it came from. So for example, I've got these ones from the middle. If I pull it over to the side, I'm not going to get that nice straight line that you see here. So if it looks like something's really getting stretched in a funny position, just double check it. You should have a nice big open space here. And we're going to loop up on each of those rows to the top, to where you run out of bands here. Stay inside your holding bands. Here's the second. Oops. See, I almost missed that there. I'm going to grab the pink bands. That's what I wanted. And pink band, I should say. And the black one. Back down to the last. I'm getting a little bit clumsy. I've been at this for about 2 hours. It took 3 tries to get this body together, so just bear with me. Down through the right, the center, the left, and remove. We'll put this one on the loom too. So slide that onto 2 white bands. You can move it over a couple of loops at a time if that's easier, or you can stretch and slide, whatever's going to feel more comfortable for you. I'm going to go to the top and stretch that between the top center peg and the peg on the side that is still open. Okay, so that's going to be the top for our head. We are going to be making the head and the body together on the loom. So let's move on to making the head. We're going to do this in a kind of funny order, but it'll work out. We're coming down 4 times in the middle with double white bands, so 2 bands each time. Like so. And then on either side we'll come down, I believe it's 3 times with double white bands or 2 bands together. And your side row should finish just above your center row. Opposite side, same thing. Then I'm going to take 2 bands and stretch them across or down diagonally from the 4th side to the 5th center peg. And same for the other side. Okay, take a single white band, stretch, twist, bring it back over itself, and this is going to go across the top side pegs and the second peg down in the center. It's going to make another of those upside down triangles. On the peg below, we're going to be putting the eyes. So I'll show you. If you are using bands, you'll take 2 black bands, I just snapped on me, and wrap each one 1, 2, 3 times onto your hook. You'll take a doubled over single white, slide both on, I'll show you all the steps with the bands and then with the beads. Then this would go on your second pegs down from the top on either side, like so. And you can take your hook, get between the white hoops and bring it under. So that would be for black bands, or if you should choose to use another color for the eyes, it would be the same idea. If you are using beads. The ones I have here fit onto my hook nicely, so I'm going to put them on my hook, double over my band, slide them on, and place. Same thing, second peg down from the top, separate, and get your hook in between to bring part of that band under. And I'll just show you super quickly. Where did my dental floss go? I'm always losing it. Oh. I just got out a new piece of it too. Here we go. I will get a colored bead here to show you quickly. If you are using a bead that does not fit on your hook, you can put a piece of floss or wire or thread and needle through, and you would put both of your beads on. Oh, this one does not have much of a hole. Okay, grab a different one. We'll use this one. Okay, so this is the another method of attaching. Put your floss through 2 beads, double over your band, slide your floss through, slide your floss back through your beads, because you would have 2 for 2 eyes, and pull back on. Okay, so those are 3 ways that you can go about making your eyes. Hopefully one of them is working for you, and I'm gonna move on here to the next step. So those are the eyes. For the nose, we are taking let's see here. Looks like we have 2 black bands. I'm going to wrap it on my hook once and twice. Maybe we'll do it 3 times. And take 3 white bands. So that was 2 black bands wrapped 3 times. Put onto 3 white bands. Replace the other side, and we'll put this onto 2 white bands and bring that across your 3rd peg down on one side to your 3rd peg down on the other side. Then we'll put 1 more doubled over single band as a holding band in an upwards triangle formation. And it's going to be sitting on the 4th pegs down on either side and your 4th peg down in the middle. Okay, we have 1 more part to add to the face, and then we'll set it aside and start working on the body. Take a single white band and wrap it twice onto your hook, and we're going to put it onto 2 bands. And replace, and 2 bands and replace, and this is going to make for that puffy cheek. If you add a 3rd set of double bands, it'll make it just stick out just a little bit wider if you want more width on the face. I'm going to stretch this out and take that loop at the bottom, place it on my 4th peg down on the side, and then the bands that are on the hook are going to go onto the peg just above. Other side, a single wrapped twice. Hold on to 2 bands, and 2 bands again. Stretch it until you have that little circle bottom loop. There should be 3 pieces in there. or it should look like 3 pieces, 3 loops. That goes onto your 4th peg down. We take the other bands and transfer them onto the peg above. There. Okay, so the face is ready for looping my ear. It just occurred to me I never made the tail on my first one. And that'll be made after all the same. Okay, next up, let's get working on the body here. So we are going to do 2 orange bands from the 5th center peg to the 5th side peg. Oh, I said orange, but orange or yellow. A pale orange or a yellow is ideal. Same to the other side, and then once down in the middle from that same peg. It's a busy peg, so press it down a little bit if you need to. We're going to put 1 blue band on either side from your 6th peg down. What is that? Your 5th peg to your 6th peg, I think that is. Basically where the orange ended there. And now if you are using beads or a band, you can use the dental floss method, a hook, or just wrap your bands on. Take 1 band or bead and get it onto a single blue band. I'm using little beads, so I'm going to use my dental floss to transfer it. Got a bendy piece here at the end. I'd have to cut that. Oh, there we go. Let me flip this around for the other one. This is optional, but it's going to function as the buttons for Max's overalls. Slide. Now everything smells minty fresh. Love dental floss. And I'm going to put this on to the same peg that has the other single blues. Hold it up for you in 1 second here. Like so. Next are the arms. So our hands are made with 3 whites wrapped twice onto the hook. 1, 2, and then pulled onto 2 whites. And I would like Max's arms to be just a little bit shorter and stubbier, so I'm going to do 2 orange or yellow if that's the color you're using, and then 2 red. And I think I'm going to end up the arm piece there. It's going to be really, really short. When you're ready, this goes on to that same peg we've been using. It's the 5th one down. It has our shoulder piece and our little overall straps. Other side, same thing, 3 white, wrapped twice onto the hook, pulled onto 2 bands, also white, and then onto 2 of our light orange or yellow if that's the color that you went with, and then onto 2 reds and attached to the loom on the opposite side here. We can go back to laying down our bands, and we're coming down 6 times on each side, or to get a total of 6 times on each side with blue. So we have our first set down, put down 2 bands underneath, 2 bands again. This is the 3rd set, 4, 5, and 6. Come down on the other side with double or 2 bands together, same color until you've reached the same peg as we have on the other side. So they should mirror each other, right? Everything in this pattern is symmetrical. And in the middle we're coming down with blues until 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I believe. Double bounce again. I actually prefer symmetrical patterns because if you ever need to flip it around, both sides will be the same, and you don't have to worry about whether something ends up on the left or the right, and so forth. Okay, let's do our feet. We're going to make those on the hook using white again, and we have a single band wrapped 1, 2, 3, 4 times onto the hook. Hold on to a doubled over single. These are going to be the toes. We're going to make 3 of these for the first foot. We'll finish the foot and then we'll repeat for the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4 onto a doubled over single. Slide it down. And the third one for the first foot. 1, 2, 3, 4 onto a doubled over single. And I'm just going to put this onto 2 bounds. I tried this on a couple of different ways, and I found doing much more than this started making the feet look much more big and puffy than I wanted them to. We just want, you know, that cute little bulb of a foot. If this is a really big struggle, you can take 3 or 4 bands and just wrap them on your hook a couple of times. This and then onto your 2 bands. This will give you the effect of those little toes though. Second foot, wrap 1, 2, 3, 4, place onto a doubled over single. We'll need 3 of these again. So here's the second one. And one more. Place. Take those new 3 toe pieces and bring them onto 2 white bands. I feel like I lost one there. Hold on. One of my bands didn't go through, so I just gotta fix that here. One, 2, 3, replace. This is going to go onto 2 blue bands. So take 2 bands and transfer all of the bands that are on your hook onto the 2 blue. So that's your first foot and your second one. I think I'm starting to rush here. Okay, hold on. As I say, I've been at this a while. I'm gotta focus a little bit more to get through this. Here we go. Okay, so those are your 2 feet pieces. And this will go onto your loom across the 3rd pegs up from the bottom. That's where you lay down the last blue bands coming down. You want to get between the feet pieces and bring the blue loop over the middle peg that is 3rd from the bottom. We're going to put holding bands across the blue blue body here. If you are looking to save bands, you can put one down at a time. If you want that added thickness, we do it with two. And we're going to create little triangles. I'm using two here. Honestly, I'm probably going to undo either this one or my original, but until I decide which, I'm gonna just go forward and we'll see what happens here. Okay, there's our body. I'm actually thinking, now as I say, I totally skipped out on the tail last time. I think I'm going to make it now, and that way we can add it in before we do our looping. And we do have one more thing to do on the body, but let's see to that tail next. So let's do 3 or 4 white bands. Wrap once or twice onto your hook. I'm going to try it with 3 and see how it looks with 2 wraps. 2. Okay, let's try it with the 4 again. Actually, I'm going to make it really puffy. Let's try it with 5 and do 1 wrap there. Okay. And we'll put it onto a doubled over single. Let's see what we think. Bring it back together. You know what? I don't love it. Sorry, I didn't have this part done ahead. I'm gonna get something together here quick though. 1, 2, and then onto a double over. Maybe that extra tightness will do the trick. It's not too bad. But you could play around with it if you want to try doing 6 together. You can. If you want to use fewer and then loop it more times, you can do that. When you are happy with your tail, we'll go back to the loom, and we want it to be sitting pretty low. So I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take the, you know what, I'm going to go to the second set of glue up from where we ended this. So it's on the 5th peg from the bottom, and I'll take that off of the loom, transfer this tail piece on, and then put that blue band right back where it was. And then you don't have to weave it in or worry about C-clips or it coming loose after. Okay, last piece on the body, and then we could start looping up, and whiskers are super easy. I'll show you how to do that at the end. So our last thing we need are to round off the body. We're going to put in some side extensions. For that you need a blue band wrapped twice onto your hook, and I believe we have 6 sets, or a chain of 6 sets of double blue bands. So 2 together, put it on your hook, slide through, replace, that's 1, 2, slide through, replace, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The bottom of the chain right here. It's going to go onto the 3rd peg up from the bottom of the loom on the side. We're going to stretch this all the way up to the piece that has the arm attached. You can pop it kind of over the arm if you're able. And for each of the sections in between, you want to get your hook inside just enough to grab one strand of the band and bring it over and around the peg. I wonder if I bring this closer, if that'll be a little easier to see here. So I'm separating out a strand with a little bit of difficulty here and bringing it right over there. Again, take a strand on the inside and bring it over. We have 2 more to go, and what this does is it keeps all of the pieces connected. It prevents you from having a separate chain that's just sticking out, and it links it in, it ties it into the body. Okay, I'm going to make one for the other side. We'll go a little bit faster here. Single wrapped twice onto 6 sets of double blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it's gonna span the pegs that have been used for the body. The bottom of the chain will go onto the bottom peg. Reach this up and transfer it onto the peg with the arm. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it will make it. And I'm bringing it over and behind the arm. And we connect it one strand at a time. That goes on each of the links that's in between. Okay. I'm just gonna check my notes, my picture here, but I believe that we are all ready to go. Okay, looks good. So starting at the bottom of the loom, you can loop up the middle. I'm gonna stop one peg down from the neck. I'm gonna stop when I get to the orange, just so I can loop that middle one in last, but you don't have to. If you wanna go up the middle right to where the white starts, you can do that too. And we start between the legs, loop up. Just watch that you are not grabbing any of your triangle bands as you go. You'll be picking up 2 bands and bringing them forward each time. So I'm going to stop here. We have to remember to loop this orange one up, but I want that to be the last one I loop on the body. I'm going back on the sides, and I'm going to find the bottom 2 bands on each of the pegs, and I'll be reaching for those. So go under the top ones, push back, and bring your bottom 2 up and forward. And we'll repeat all the way through. You might want or need to use your fingers or your hooks to pull those out so you can see which and where they are. If something is getting loose, grab it fast as you can and work your way back. Okay, and we've got one more here. And I'm going to find the bottom 2 orange. I got one more, from under the arm piece. Where are you? It's hiding in there. There we go. Bring those up diagonally to center. Opposite side. Going for the bottom 2 bands. And we'll loop up to the arms. If you are finding that there's a lot of tension on your loom, you can pause and remove or loosen up some of the sections that are securely in. Just check that it's a part that you have looped already, and keep track of where you left off so that you don't go back to a spot having skipped one. Don't worry about the buttons, we're going to adjust those afterwards. And I've reached the arm, so I'm going inside for the bottom 2 yellow bands, bringing those over to center. That was the plan. Okay, body's almost done here. And now I'm going to go back for those orange ones. If you did do them first, it's really not a big deal. It doesn't make very much of a difference, just a personal preference of mine. I like to do those last. Now this might be the hardest part, the hardest peg, because we have a lot of bands here. We have all of the orange from the body, and then we have one set that came down the middle, white, and one set from one side and one set from the other. I can tell just from looking that on mine, it's this set on the left, which is the top white set that was laid down. So those are the ones that I'm going to try to get. We push back the orange and we look for that nice clean line. If you want or need, you can use your hook to pull those out so you can see them a little bit better. I don't have the greatest light here right now, so sun's going down, but I think I got it there. So I formed my little teardrop back to what started, and then I'll be going back for the next 2, which in my case are coming from my right side. Grab them together, bring them over. The last 2 are the whites. 1 and 2. Take your time with that. Pause if you need to, pause if you want to. I'm going to keep going here on the sides. So the bottom 2 bands each time are what I'm going for. I'm going to push back the side extension, or all of those top bands, and take only the bottom 2 up and carefully over onto that 3rd peg from the top. Push back and take the bottom 2 up and over one more time, and then loop into the middle. So push back the triangle band, take your bottom 2 and bring it to the middle. So that's the side. Other side, same thing, bottom 2 bands only, bottom 2 bands only. Something else starts like pulling askew, if you feel like your Max's eyeballs are starting to move, just ease back and check it and try it again. Back up to center. And then we're going to go in the middle. So just think here. I'm going to take the nose and bring it down. Come under the nose to loop up. Lift the nose back over. So what I've done is I moved the nose out of the way while I looped up the band underneath. If you loop over the nose, it's going to lock it right in the middle there. It's going to make it a bit tighter, and you won't get as much of a shape to it. Push back the band that's holding the eye and bring your bottom 2 up. Push band your triangle band, bottom 2 up. You can take 1 or 2 bands, put it on a couple of your fingers, your less dominant or recessive hand, is that the word? With your dominant hand, take your hook, point it down through all of the bands on your top center peg. The open part is facing down. I'm going to catch this securing band, start pulling it back up and through. we need a little tension there. And as it comes through, we start to twist the hook so that the open part is then facing up. Place the other end on, and I'm going to take the end that's further in, bring it over the top of the hook. That will create our slip knot. You can put this on a holding hook or a C-clip, or just keep it on your finger, and very carefully start to remove all of the rest of your figure from the loom. I'm going to work downwards and try and use the back of my hook so that I don't get caught or end up pulling on pieces more than I need to. It starts to loosen. You can do a little bit more with your hand. Okay. Okay, so let's take the band that's holding this all securely and turn to the back. I'm gonna put my hook under a couple of bands and grab that securing band, and then that can go onto a C-clip. Just to hold it in place, keep it extra safe there. Turn it around. Okay, if you want to draw pupils on your eyes, if you've used beads, you can do that now. Gonna give the nose a little tug and adjust. If you have any loose bands, you can see to those. It looks like I missed looping this one up. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna loop it over the tail. That'll be tidy. It'll also make the tail stand a little more firmly there. Another thing you can do for the tail, for the shape of it, is if you want to take a couple of bands and pop them over, that can also hold it a little more straight, a little more in position. It won't flop around quite as much if you put a couple over, if you choose to do so. You can see I've got my little button beads on the back. So I'm going to just push those through. Need to use my fingernails for this a little bit. I used the same beads, but I feel like this was easier to do on the other one for some reason or other. There we go. So just pull it through, depending on how tight your beads or band are. It might be a little easier or a little bit harder. And sometimes it ends up on the side you want it to anyway, just by kind of default. Come in. Are you? Okay, this one's taking a while. I'll try and use our hook too. So really the last main thing is not helping the whiskers. You can use wire, pipe cleaner, you can take a black band or two and you can cut those to shape. I actually just got some black thread. Now I'll show you on my original one here. I tied a knot around a couple of bands in the back and then I pulled it through. So these should not be going anywhere. So if you're bringing it from the back, you can tie it around and then pull it through, or you can just slide it through that kind of nose piece. So I put my hook in where I want it to go, slide it through, and then cut it to size, right? Lost one, so we'll do that again. So it can go straight through the front, or it can be attached in the back and then pulled through to the front. Oh, come on. Almost had it there. You know what, we're gonna do both of these together again. And this is just like regular black sewing thread. If you've got embroidery thread, that's another option. You could use wool, but you might find that's a little bit too big and clunky. And here's where the scissors come in. So this one is not tied on, but you can very easily. And I think we are all done. So I'll show you both of these. The only difference is that I made the arms a little longer in the first one and used a different kind of bead. But the effects are pretty close here, and you might have had something something a little bit different, but hopefully it came out to your liking as mine have to mine. And here's her tail in the back as well. Okay, thanks guys, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.